What if your old retro console could unlock achievements just like modern ones? Well, thankfully, we have the online platform RetroAchievements, which brings that thrill to classic titles. But there's a catch. You can only do it through the use of emulators, and not with your actual console. With the new RetroAchievements adapter, however, that's about to change. You can now use original hardware to earn real-time achievements tracked online with no emulation required. This may just be the next evolution of retro gaming. Let's take a look. Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Tito and welcome to another episode of Retro Renew. Today, I'm really excited to show you a project that may change the way we interact with our physical collection of retro video games. This is the RetroAchievements adapter for the NES. It's an open source project that really just could kick off a new era of retro gaming by giving us the ability to unlock achievements on original hardware using our real physical games. The NES RetroAchievements adapter, or RA Adaptor for short, is powered by a Raspberry Pi Pico and ESP32. It connects your console to your RetroAchievements account online and updates your achievements as you get them in real time seamlessly as you play your NES games on your original console. As of right now, the most mature version of this type of adapter is for the NES, but there are working prototypes for other consoles including the Game Boy, as well as the Super Nintendo, and I'm sure many more to come in the near future. It's really quite amazing just how seamless it works. For example, when playing Metroid, as soon as I obtain the Morph Ball ability, that associated achievement is unlocked as indicated in this tiny LCD display, and if we go to the RetroAchievements website, it shows up right there, updated in real time, all the while using the original cart and actual NES console. No emulation whatsoever. Okay, so let's back up for a second and talk about how we got here. And what better way to do that than to hear from the actual creator of the NES RA adapter, Fabio from Brazil.
Thanks, Tito. I'm really excited to bring achievements to the real NES in a plug-and-play way. This project came from my passion for playing physical games on original hardware, and from the challenge of building something unique and affordable. It's free and open source, and the goal is to inspire a similar solution for other retro consoles. Big thanks to you, Tito, and also to all the RetroAchievements community for keeping the retro spirit alive since 2012, creating incredible achievements and supporting so many classic systems. May this adapter welcome even more players into RetroAchievements and help others rediscover the joy of replaying their NES physical collection. Now, back to you, Tito.
Awesome, thanks so much for that, Fabio. So I think we can all agree this is a very cool project. The adapter basically acts as a conduit to the RetroAchievements website, which some of you watching may not be familiar with. I know I wasn't until Fabio reached out to me about this project. Well, most of us are familiar with achievements, those digital badges that first showed up on the Xbox 360 and were later mirrored by the PlayStation 3's trophy system. This added extra layers of challenge, gave us new goals to chase, and made revisiting our favorite games even more rewarding. These days, achievements have become a staple in modern gaming. But achievements are a relatively recent innovation. That means there are entire generations of consoles like the NES that never had them. And that's where RetroAchievements come in. It's a platform that brings modern-style achievements to retro consoles, from the NES all the way to the PS2. Fans create custom achievement sets that challenge you to experience classic games in new and interesting ways. It all currently runs through emulators, syncing your progress online with leaderboards, badges, and community stats. Just create a free account, load up a supported emulator, and start unlocking. What makes it even cooler is the sense of community that it creates. When you unlock an achievement, you can see who else has done it. It's like discovering you're not the only one still playing Battletoads in 2025. But here's the catch. It only works with emulators. Until now. This is where the NES RetroAchievements adapter comes in. So let's check out the hardware, walk through the setup process, and see it in action. So Fabio actually sent me a fully assembled unit with the firmware already loaded onto the ESP32 as well as the Raspberry Pi Pico. But this is an open source project, so you can make one of these today, and just to be clear, this is an early version of the project. The team is currently working on a slimmed down version, as this one is more of a proof of concept, hence its somewhat awkward layout. Alright, so to set this thing up, let's first go ahead and populate the main board by inserting the Raspberry Pi Pico, as well as the 7 resistor array modules. We'll then do the same and populate the tiny daughter board with the ESP32 and the tiny included LCD display. Okay, so now we basically need to disassemble the entire NES so we can drop in the adapter. Now I'm going to be installing this in a pretty heavily modded NES that I recently built, but this will work and be installed in exactly the same way on a stock unit. So first up, we'll remove the top shell. Then after removing a few screws, we'll take out the motherboard along with the cart reader. We'll then need to detach the cart reader from the motherboard and in its place the RA adapter onto the edge connector. Then drop the motherboard back into the NES shell, and then put in a few screws to keep it somewhat secure. And since the RA adapter does stick out quite a bit, obviously we won't be able to put the top shell back on. Now all we need to do is go ahead and just attach the daughter board to this header here on the side, and we're all set. Now to show you how this thing works, we're going to go ahead and insert a game. We're going to go ahead and install Metroid, which I did briefly show earlier, as it's pretty simple to get the first achievement. Do note that you will need to install the game backwards, and once it's in, simply power on the NES. The tiny LCD will come to life, and we'll give you some instructions on how to set up the RA adapter by asking you to connect to its local Wi-Fi network. Then what you're going to want to do is take a smartphone or tablet device, I'm using my iPhone here, and then go ahead and connect to its local Wi-Fi network with the SSID NES RA adapter, and then use the password that it provides to connect. And once you're on the network, you'll then be taken to a page to enter both your home Wi-Fi credentials, as well as your RetroAchievements username and password. After entering those, hit the save button, and then power cycle the console. And once the console is powered back on, it should give you the OK that it's connected to your Wi-Fi, and that it was able to log into your RetroAchievements account, accompanied by a nice 1-up sound effect. It will then start to read the cartridge to identify the game, and once identified, it'll ask you to reset the console. And now you're ready to play and start collecting some achievements. So as we start to play Metroid, let's go ahead and grab the Morph Ball ability. And like I showed previously, when obtained, we get a notification sound from the adapter, and the new achievement appears on the LCD. And if we go ahead and refresh my RetroAchievements account on the computer, we see that our newly obtained achievement appears on screen, which is honestly pretty incredible. The whole process is so seamless, and now there's a whole new dynamic added to playing these old games. And while this has been available for some time through the use of emulators, being able to do this on original hardware using our actual physical library of games is pretty remarkable. Now, another feature that's currently under development is the ability to pair your phone or tablet to the RA adapter, giving you a more detailed view of your achievements right on your device. It's especially useful if you're sitting far away from the console and you can't easily read the small display. With this new functionality, you'll be able to see the achievements pop up with additional details, all from the comfort of your couch. Okay, now let's go ahead and see the RA adapter in action with a few different games. But before we get into that, let me tell you about the sponsor of today's video, PCBWay. If you have an idea for a new mod or want to assemble an open source project, PCBWay provides you with the tools to make them a reality. From 3D printing services in an array of materials, all the way to other services like CNC machining, injection molding, and of course PCB and flex ribbon fabrication. So when it comes to taking your retro mods to the next level, PCBWay is the place to make that happen. Check out the link in the description for PCBWay to get $5 off your first order, and again a huge thank you to PCBWay for sponsoring this video. So starting a new game in The Legend of Zelda, the moment I pick up the sword from the cave in the beginning of the game, I unlock the It's Dangerous to Go Alone achievement. Classic, right? And just like that, it's instantly reflected on my RetroAchievements account. As another example, in Super Mario Bros. 3, as soon as I grabbed the Super Leaf, I earned the Prepare to Take Off achievement, which again, if I go to my account, it shows right up. Let's go ahead and do one more. While playing Ninja Gaiden 3, again, right here in the beginning of the game, as soon as I obtain the Fire Dragon Ball ability, I unlock the Rock the Dragon achievement. What's awesome is just how seamlessly all of these sync with the RetroAchievements site. It really adds a fun new layer and incentive to revisit the classics. And if you go to the site and check out a game like Super Mario Bros. 3, you'll notice that there are a ton of other players also earning achievements in real time. It gives a nice sense of community and reminds you that you're definitely not the only person playing these games. The RetroAchievements platform is such a cool concept, and the NES RA Adapter gives us a whole new way to experience it, right on the original hardware. Alright, so now that we saw this thing in action, let me give you a quick 10,000 foot overview of how it works. So as soon as you power on the NES, the ESP32 connects to the internet and then logs you into your RetroAchievements account. While this is happening, the connection between the game cartridge and the NES is severed momentarily, while the Raspberry Pi Pico attempts to identify the game. It needs to do this first so that it can download the entire achievement library from the website. Then, once the game is identified and all the achievements for the game are stored locally, the RA Adapter will then connect the game to the NES, and in some cases will request the user to reset the console before you can start playing. And as the game is running, the Raspberry Pi Pico is constantly monitoring the memory data lines, taking note of all the memory writes. All you need to do is play the game, and the RA NES Adapter will take care of the rest, registering all your achievements as they occur in real time, and uploading them to the RA website. Again, it's just amazing how seamless the whole process is. Okay, so now that we have a sense of how it works, let's quickly go over some of the pros and cons. Starting with the pros, I think this is a pretty game-changing project for the retro community, especially for those of us that love playing on original hardware. While RetroAchievements has been around for years in the emulation community, this is the first time we're seeing a real working solution that brings that same experience to real hardware and physical games. It gives retro gaming a fresh new perspective, adding new challenges, goals, and even a social layer, all without leaving the comfort of your CRT and original controller. Another huge plus is that the RA NES Adapter is completely open source. That means the community can build, customize, and improve upon it freely. It lowers the barrier to entry for those that want to try it out, and it sets the stage for future expansion to other consoles. For collectors and those hardware purists out there, this unlocks a whole new way to experience the classics. Now, as exciting as this project is, there are a couple minor downsides worth mentioning, but again, we need to understand that this is very much in the early stages, so a lot of these will be addressed moving forward. First up, the hardware in its current form is a bit clunky. The layout is awkward, and it doesn't exactly fit neatly inside the NES shell. However, the team, like I mentioned earlier, is already working on a much smaller, more polished version. So it's safe to say that this is just the beginning, and we'll see improvements coming soon. The only other con is simply that we have to wait. Right now, this adapter is only available for the NES. But if the project continues to gain traction, we could very well see support for other classic consoles like the Super Nintendo and the Game Boy in the near future. In short, the potential of this is huge. We just need a little patience while it evolves. This brings me to the future of RetroAchievements hardware. So as of right now, hardcore mode is not supported with the use of the RA Adapter. Hardcore mode, for those that don't know, is a setting within emulators that essentially turns off any aids like save states, cheats, or speed-altering features designed to make playing the game easier. Basically, it levels the playing field so that we know players are not being assisted in any way when obtaining achievements. This is currently not available because there's no real way to tell whether or not players are using game assist features on the actual hardware. However, hardcore mode support is on the way. Just like with RetroAchievements on emulators, hardcore mode will disable any game assist features. So when you unlock an achievement, that means you really earned it. Next, a better and new form factor is already in the works. The current prototype is functional, but bulky, and the team is actively working on a more compact, user-friendly version that'll fit inside the console, sort of like a Game Genie. And maybe the most exciting thing to look forward to, bringing RetroAchievements hardware support to more classic consoles, including the Super Nintendo and Game Boy. So if you've ever dreamed of earning achievements while playing A Link to the Past or Pokemon Red on real hardware, that might not be too far off. Well folks, there you have it. RetroAchievements on original hardware are now a reality, at least for the NES. It's a big step forward, and honestly, I think this could be the beginning of something huge. I'm really excited to see how this evolves and what other classic consoles might be supported next. Now, if you enjoyed this video, I really think you'll like this one here, so check it out. And as always, thank you all so much for tuning in today, and I'll catch you again next time.